Welcome back to another video. So today we are working on the Honda. Like I said, we're going to be working on the Honda periodically off and on, trying to get it done. Because like literally from today, I know this video will come out in like a week or so. It's going to take me a couple days to do what I want to do, but whatever. But literally from today, we're taking the Honda to the track. So kind of got to get some things done. So we're going to, it's cold as crap outside right now. So let's go ahead while we're here, before we head outside and turn the car around and look at the power steering pump on that thing. Let's go ahead and get into some things that I bought. So the other day, I've been looking at this setup right here for the back of the Civic, which is the the brace that goes in between the two lower control arm mounts in the rear. The brace goes here. This is the under brace. Then the braces that go off the control arms, all that kind of stuff. Like this is I can't remember how much it is. It's like $185 kit, $200 kit, somewhere around there. Just this right here from Trueheart. If you order this piece right here, it's $140 from Trueheart just for this piece. Well, I managed to get all of this right here off of Facebook Marketplace yesterday for $40. So good steal. Good steal on that. Got a radio, which we're going to put in. And then we have right here, which is a front tow hook and the rear tow hook. So we've got to get those on the car because for this track event little thing, you don't need a lot of this stuff, but as time progresses, that's part of the mandatory thing with any track event is a front and a rear tow bar. So front one, which we're going to have to modify somehow to get it to come out of the bumper grill area, and then the back, which just bolts onto the back tow hook. Then we have this big box over here. So let's go ahead and get into this. I haven't even opened this thing since I bought it. And I've had this thing for a couple months now. That. All right. And this thing is in there. All right, so I picked up a harness bar for the Honda. Like wrapped up good. Alright, so there's the actual bar that goes from side to side. Here's one of the bars that goes down. Another bar, and here is all the hardware. As I drop it on the ground. So we'll be getting this installed here real shortly also. Yeah, see the bars that go in here, so I guess let's go ahead and get the car spun around, and let's go ahead and start figuring out how to put all this stuff in and check the power steering pump on where it's leaking. Whether or not it's leaking from the actual pump, one of the O-rings, gaskets, hoses, who knows. So let's go ahead, get a jacket on because it's cold, Let's get started working on the car. Okay, so it's the following day, and it's also cold outside. Love this Virginia weather. All right, so what we're gonna do right now is we're gonna, like, I got the car up in the air because I'm also looking for where the power steering pump is, all that kind of stuff. Oh yeah, I forgot, I'm not locking it because, you know. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and take all the seats out of this thing. So we're gonna take the driver's seat out, of course, because we're putting the other seat in. We're gonna take the passenger seat out just so it makes it easier to get in and out. And then we're gonna take the back seat out. We're taking the bottom off right now. So it just clips in the front. There's 2 clips here. And then there's a 10mm bolt, like right there. You take that out and that pulls the bottom out. And I will get all this out and then I'll show you why we need to take this out. So let's go ahead and yank all the seats out first, and then I'll show you what's up. Okay, so I've got the seats out. So there's driver's seat, passenger seat, and there's part of the back seat. Now this is where we're getting into the issues. All right, let's go ahead and get in. Yep. Got the race seat back in there. Okay. So here's what we're doing. Harness bar, which, you know, talked about that earlier. Putting the harness bar in. Now, this is where the problem is. It's a little farther back than I would really like. So I was like, could I move it forward? I mean, like, I could re-drill the hole from here and move it in some, but it's still only going to bring me about an inch closer. That's not a lot. Flipping these around and having that way, that'll bring this whole thing all the way in. That would put the edge of this out here, like way too much. So it's like, even if I like shrunk it in, it's just going to be protruding too far out. So I'm like thinking, you know. Then here's where the tricky part is the down bars. So some people will run it from the bar to the front of the car, right here. Yeah, it's a little crowded in here. Well, this seat belt on the passenger side attaches to the seat and not to the side right here, because it's a 2-seater. So basically you pull the seat forward, it brings the seat belt out of the way, all that kind of stuff. So there's nowhere to connect that. And like that one is right there, which is basically right here. Even if you did, there's not enough room. Like, it's not long enough to run it from there to there. It's too short to match to there. I mean, we're, you know, it's a good 8-10 inches right there. So what I'm going to do is we're going to take it to here. Now, when I did one in my Infinity, the seat belts on this side were, for the back seat, were actually on the side. So it was like you could just, you know, like this. So now this one's mounted straight down on the floor. So basically what we're going to do is, I'll show you in a second outside, is we're going to make a bracket that'll go right there that this can bolt into, and then we're going to take this up to here like that. Now, if anybody knows how these things are set up, they're welded right around here, but there's a slug that goes in. So basically, if you can cut around this weld real gently without cutting into the threaded part that's inside here, you'll be able to cut the thread, or I mean cut the weld, pull this piece out, shorten it down, and then re-weld it, and you'll be back in good condition. No harm, no foul. So it's basically what we're going to be doing, is we're going to be shortening this by that amount right there, give or take. We'll do some hard measuring later. The harness bar is about where, you know, I want it, because basically it should either be basically straight with your shoulders, or at a, I can't remember, it's very few degrees, it's less than like 5 degrees or so of a downward slope from where your shoulders will be, which mine are like right about here. So once we get this all, and that's the thing, is these things are threaded, so we'll be able to work it up and down just a hair. Whew. It's at least starting to look promising. Now the thing is I have to get all of this done in 3 weeks. Basically, I think I said that in the beginning of the video, from when I'm recording this to, yeah, 3 weeks is my event. The safety bar or the harness bar isn't all that important. The main thing is like I've got to get the power steering pump fixed, and you know, that's about it. Everything else is good on the car. The rest of it's just kind of there. All right, let me get out. I did put the tow hook on the back right here. It's bolted on nice and sturdy. The front one through the front bumper I haven't got yet, because that one I do have to take the front bumper off to figure out where it's going to be mounted and come through. Now this is the steel that I'm going to use right here. You know, 3/16 inch thick steel that I'm going to make a U bracket. So it'll come up the side, be like this, into a U, bolt through to hold that. And probably some backing plate on it that'll kind of box it all in to make it solid, and that's what we're going to use for the bottom plate. So basically I gotta bend it here, flat part with a bolt through it where it mounts to the bottom, and then a riser up this side. So we're gonna have to measure, cut, drill, and get that to fit like that. All that's gonna be done off camera because that's gonna take a while. So we are making progress. This is this is a slow process on getting all this done. I mean, like I said, just kind of got the car back into my possession, so we got to take our time getting it all done and good. So like I said, I've had the tire off and I've cleaned it, and of course it's still leaking, even though it hasn't been running. It's probably just residual off the motor, but like this is at the back of the power steering pump. This is towards the front of the power steering pump. So is, like I said, it was dirty in there. I did clean it off, but it's like where it was leaking, it's just been throwing power steering pump fluid everywhere underneath that hood. It was just, you know, been down there under the bottom, was just terribly, disgustingly nasty. So we've been getting it cleaned up. We just got to do a little more. Get the pump here in a day or two. New gaskets and O-rings and all that kind of stuff, and swap that thing out. That's an expensive piece too. That thing is like ridiculous, but gotta get done. All right, I guess we're gonna go ahead and end this video here because I've got a lot of cutting. Cutting and welding and stuff like that to get that thing up to where I want. So I guess we'll call it a day. We'll get on it and we'll just keep working, because nobody wants to see me just cutting and grinding and welding. That's like literally going to take me the rest of the day just to get that harness bar in and modified. I do want to get a cage, like a legit cage. Auto Power, I think is the cage company. Like, we will eventually get a cage. Depends on, you know, like as the progression goes and this and that. So it does need a cage. So plus, you know, if I had a cage, the Togekon, you know, not Togekon, what was it? Appalachia Drift, and then they were doing an Appalachia Toge, you know, all this kind of stuff, and part of the rules were cage. Next year. Alright, we're going to end this video. I guess we'll catch you in the next one. Don't know what we're getting into. Might be going to pick up some. Yeah, we'll just leave that surprise. Catch you in the next one.